What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Stu Sumter back here with another video. Hope everybody's having a great day, a blessed day. Today we're gonna talk about, something that's finally coming into fruition, kinda coming to light with things ramping up, and the NCAA is looking a bit scared. As you see by the title, we're talking about possibly, players finally getting able to get money off of their name, image, and likeness. I think I'm a person that I know I'm for college students getting some type of compensation, whether it be from the school, whether it be from third-party endorsements and vendors or whatnot. I think that players deserve to get something off of their own name. They're athletes, they're students, but they're also, a product that brings in billions of dollars for the universities. So before we get into it, like the video if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the notification bell as well. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So before we talk about what's going on now, let's talk about how we got to today. How do we get here now with, July 1st being the day that student athletes can profit off themselves. September 30th of 2019, Senator Nancy Skinner in California in 2019 decided to pass legislation that prohibits schools from punishing college athletes from making money off of their own image and likeness. This caused a bit of a storm, within the community, because somebody is stepping up and saying, yo, you can't punish these kids. These kids come from low-income families and whatnot. You can't do that. In October of 2019, the following month, the board of the NCAA unanimously decided that this should be something that needs to be changed, should be talked about, and they believe that it was time to modernize the name, image, and likeness model of the student athlete. In April of 2020, there was a group that formally formatted how these things are going to change for the Division I Council, and this was put to a vote in November of 2020, but then deciding votes were going to happen in January of 2021. In June of 2020, Florida passed a law that effective immediately at July 1st of 2021, so July 1st of this year, that decreased the time in creating a solution, because the NCAA, they're going to take their time. They want to drag this out as long as they can. They believe in amateurism, where student athletes aren't employees. They're not, workers. They're students. That's what they say. But it was kind of crazy, I think, is, Division III kids, they have a job. They go, if they want to work in the summertime, they can get a job. I know a couple people who've had jobs and worked during their collegiate careers, and I know D1 athletes who weren't able to get a job because students can't work, they can't make money, and it's pretty BS if you ask me. But like I said, we got these changes going on. In July of 2020, the NCAA president, Mark Emmert, wants congressional help on talking about the NIL. He decided to appear in a Senate hearing. August of 2020, a group of Pac-12 players decided to boycott the season. But along that, they wanted to have a list of demands when it came to giving players a fair share of revenue from the athletic department. Like I said earlier, kids make these universities billions of dollars. And it's only right that, they get a little piece of the pie, a little share, you know what I'm saying? You got these, I hate to say it, these older people that's in command, sitting back, relaxing, and they making bread, making chump change, while these players are blood, sweat, tears, stress, hours, not to mention school on top of that, practices. It's life-changing injuries, life-changing moments. But, the higher-ups are just sitting back, relaxing, and seeing all this goes on. In September of 2020, shout out to one of the legends of Ohio State, Representative Anthony Gonzalez introduced a federal bill that still has some restrictions, but he introduced a federal bill that will make sure that recruiting process wouldn't be, outraged. It wouldn't go too far. You couldn't just give recruits $1,000 here, and there. So Anthony Gonzalez, he's on board with it, but he added his own little 2 cents, and he decided to put something out there, that can get people thinking, get people talking about could possibly help this situation. In December of 2020, the Supreme Court agreed to hear the NCAA's repeal in the ruling of the Alston versus NCAA lawsuit. Even though it wasn't directly impactful of the NIL rules, it still was very important because it had impact of how the NCAA could control the amateurism, in the future. No surprise, in January of 2021, the NCAA Division I Council voted to pause the vote on the name, image, and likeness. They most likely didn't want, kids to make the money, and they wanted to pause it. And there was a letter from the Department of Justice, and Mark Emmert was not happy. He was frustrated and disappointed by the delay. The council just wasn't on his side. Senators Chris Murphy and Representative Lloyd Tran introduced federal legislation that would completely have an unrestricted market. Now, I think this would be a little crazy, but at the same time, it's something. Free agency. We already see that in the transfer portal. Kids are bouncing left and right from schools, basketball, football, and I think that in itself, there's good and bad with it. I think having student athletes bounce if they feel like, they're missing an opportunity or they're not getting what they deserve, you might want to leave. You might feel like you have a better opportunity to go to another school, whether it's lesser competition or higher competition. But at the same time, it kind of hurts, in a sense, the incoming recruits, because if you're recruiting a player at a position, next thing you know, somebody transfers in at your position. How does that really work out like that? But I think that kids should be, free at the same time. If they want to leave, they want to leave. Coaches can get fired and bounce. Coaches can resign and bounce to somebody else, somewhere else. Coaches can resign, get fired, and leave like that. But players was always looked down upon if they wanted to do so. I think that's not fair. Players can do what they want, but there definitely has to be some better rules when it comes to the transfer portal. In March of 2021, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in the Alston v. NCAA lawsuit. In April 2021, there was a hashtag not NCAA property where he met with 3 basketball student athletes to talk about, what's going on. And players, they're fed up. They felt like, I'm not your property. I'm a human being. I should have the right to make money from my name and my image. And players didn't really feel too positive coming out of that meeting. Wasn't really feeling too uppity about it. But again, they still had the meeting. Just a few days ago, June 18, 2021, six conferences proposed a plan to where they can individually, decide how the NIL works in their respective conferences. And the proposal surfaced after the Senate decided that it was clear that the federal law was not available. So after all that, we got 19 states that have decided to put something into tuition, whether it be starting this year, next year, or 2023. But states are, on board with, players, getting some of their fair share when it comes to money. Or not even money, some type of compensation. I think this situation is tough. You have players and coaches that have decided to, back up their students. You have athletic directors that, are in support of their student athletes making, some type of profit off of their own name, image, and likeness. And starting July 1st, we are going to see some of that stuff happen. I'm excited to see what happens. I hope that people don't go crazy. I think one thing that I believe can be a negative is some jealousy among student athletes. But at the same time, I believe that shows that you may have to grind. You grind so hard to get into the position that you're in today. If somebody's getting, a spotlight more than me, hey, I gotta grind harder. I gotta do something better in order to get myself in that position. But overall, I'm excited. I've said, I think in previous videos, I think players should be compensated somehow, some way. I understand they get free room, board, meals, facilities and like that. Players, if they get some type of financial, gain, they can help family members out and they can, you know, especially the ones that don't come from the greatest situations, they can help somebody out. I'm excited to see July 1st gonna be real interesting. The NCAA has a lot of scrambling to do. They kind of made their own deathbed when it comes to this, you know, trying to keep a leash on these student athletes for so long. That ain't the case anymore. And, you know, it's good, and it's a good thing that I believe student athletes are going to get, you know, an opportunity to make something. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. Comment down below your thoughts. If you think student athletes should get paid, should not get paid. What do you think their format should be? Should they be able to get anything they want? Should they get minimum things? Should they be, you know, subject to a limit when it comes to certain things? Hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned in with your boy. It's your boy Stu Money, and I'm out.